Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, TransferTrainSolutions.com on a Friday, 17th April. Let's get right into the charts. Again, quick reminder for those of you that want to join me for 15 days for free for all my three sessions, the morning, midday, and closing sessions. Um, Go ahead and hit the link below. That offer is still, I'm going to keep that going. Had a few take me up on it, but anyways, yeah. So go ahead and hit the link below, and you can have access to all the elite membership perks here. Speaking of which, we were long Palantir, as I mentioned, back around the 126, 127 level. We are looking at some new opportunities here in oil stocks, and other opportunities in some of these. Not everything's going up. So let's get right into the charts, uh, and start with. Let me make sure I'm sharing. Okay, so um, let's look at oil because with the all the headlines this morning about the straits reopening and whatever. First thing we want to do is I think the old playbook is back. Uh, Oil down, stocks up, stocks are at an all-time high. So there's really not much to talk about with regards to the S&P and the Nasdaq and the Russell for that matter, because again, at all-time highs, there's really no supply. We got to see some kind of reversal if you're trying to short this. Sentiment is getting very, very optimistic, which yet generally means that we're going to get a pullback. But from a chart perspective, there's just not, you can't really pinpoint anything. So you probably want to see some kind of reversal and what the pullback looks like. So I'm not no point in even talking about the S&P, the Nasdaq. There's obviously under the surface all kinds of stuff, but with regards to oil, oil is did come off pretty sharply today. Again, looking at the June contract, it is bouncing. In fact, it's already bounced almost $4 off the low. So the question is this, is oil going to come all the way back down to 67 or 70, or are we going to be in this massive range? We'll have to see. Obviously, this is not finalized. There's still a peace negotiations going on. There's a lot of conflicting messages coming out. So the bottom line is, I would still watch oil and what stocks do. You can see oil is already bouncing. There's some supply in oil at 90, at 95. These are the levels you want to look at. Incidentally, that gap from 2 weeks ago did hold. And so now you've got some really good levels on the supply side in oil. And looks like oil may rally right back up to 90 if things don't work out over the weekend. And that will also provide you with some uh, opportunities in stocks like XOM, LNG, EOG. That's what I'm actually looking at to do. I'm doing this at right before noon on Friday. So I'm actually looking at some of those opportunities right now. So if you want to sign up for that free 15-day trial, I'll give you some specifics. So that's kind of where we're at on the downside. They're really, other than these pivots, so you'd have to focus on some of these supply zones here that have actually been working with oil and see if we actually trade right back up into these areas here. Um, you know, Also, uh, with regards to the VIX, the VIX looks like it may be uh, bottoming out here about 15, 16. We want to watch that. Sentiment, the other areas of sentiment I'm watching are very, very extreme optimism. So again, that doesn't mean the market's going to go down, but I would be very cautious here to chase any of these rallies at the moment. The dollar is rallying, which is somewhat of a tell because the dollar's been a safe haven trade, and generally it's been falling when things look like they're going to work out in the Middle East. So for now, it's interesting that the dollar's actually coming up off that little gap right there. see if it actually trades above that. Obviously, that's going to have some implications for currencies, the metals. I've been talking about this 5K level. Nothing really happening in the metals. It's kind of just been a meandering kind of market here. The one interesting on the metals is copper, which is sitting right at resistance. Let's see if it breaks out above 610. And just real quick on the Bitcoin, this is another one that's kind of at a critical juncture here. It's sitting actually at this gap, and it's trying to pull back away from that level right here at 78. I think this weekend is going to be interesting. If Bitcoin can gap up, probably has a shot to fill this gap at 85. Looks like 80 is going to be some resistance. We have stocks like Strategy that are, already came off $10. I mean, that thing was up 20 earlier. And that's another area I'm looking at for our group here. So I think Bitcoin could be also interesting as a catch-up play. In other words, this has been languishing here, and if the market at least can continue holding these gains, this is probably where people are going to gravitate towards because remember this has just been dead in the water, and as a risk on asset, it could be interesting to look at. So uh, this will be something to flag on the weekend to see if there's going to be any kind of breakout in Bitcoin. Other than that, really, we'll just have to just real quick. Obviously, we're at all-time highs on the Nasdaq. There's going to be some kind of reversals. You still have to see some supply forming, but below the surface, just real quick. I mean, Nvidia can't break out above 200. So there's a lot of stuff below the surface that's actually a lot more interesting than the indexes. You can see Nvidia is at 200. Maybe they'll break that. That it needs to break out above 200, maybe make an all-time high. By the way, last time it made this kind of move, it actually pulled back hard. Whether that happens again, obviously remains to be seen. Apple's still kind of stuck in the mud. That's gone nowhere. In fact, a year ago, Apple was at if you take a look here, um, a year ago in July, well, less than a year ago, Apple was at 260. It's at 270. So Apple's gone nowhere. Here's the peak back in December of 24. So it just gives you some sense as to, Apple really, other than, it obviously peaked here and it's been trading. It's a good little trading stock, but it's literally gone nowhere. So kind of interesting that people don't realize. But anyways, all right. So that's pretty much sums it up today. Again, uh, join me for 15 days free. Hit the link below. Subscribe to the newsletter. If not, have a great weekend. We got an interesting week next week, all a bunch of earnings, and obviously this ongoing conflict. Let's see if it actually comes to an end next week. If not, then I think the market pulls back. So that's still tentative. And oil is still, I think the old playbook gets back. If oil rallies right back up to 90 or even higher because the conflict's not ending or there's still some unresolved issues with the straits, then I think that may cause the market to pull back. So that is where we're at. Okay. All right. Have a great weekend.